For some motorcycle riders, modifying their bikes to fit their style or have a more specialized purpose is an important and enjoyable part of the motorcycling experience. For other motorcyclists, half of the fun of being a rider is poking fun at all the dumb mods that other riders do, ranging from the silly to downright outrageous. The first motorcycle modification I cannot in good conscience endorse in any way, shape, or form is LED Underglow. It's just like, why? You know, people, it's 2022, it's almost 2023. The Fast and Furious came out 21 years ago. LED Underglow is just not cool anymore, if it ever was. I understand that it is important to stay visible on a motorcycle, but I don't think this is the type of visibility that experienced riders are talking about. And in certain states, LED Underglow on moving vehicles are actually illegal. And it seems that in those states, riders are still installing it and using it specifically while the vehicle is parked. LED Underglow on a parked bike is like a mating call for small-brained, glue-sniffing attention seekers. Buddy, just because your parents' divorce ruined your sense of belonging, the attention you'll get from LED Underglow will not validate you as a person. Underglow looks really tacky, it's often illegal, and they are kind of a pain in the butt to install and keep operational because they're made of the cheapest Chinese parts available. At best, your lights will work as advertised, still be dumb, and attract the attention of other riders who any self-respecting motorcyclist shouldn't associate with. At worst, you're going to spend all this time on your hands and knees carefully installing this LED lighting, which will then, in turn, quit working the first time you ride your bike through a small puddle or in a modest rainstorm. Or they'll blow fuses constantly or pull unnecessary drain on your battery. LED Underglow is not recommended. There are better ways to stay high-vis, like wearing one of those silly little vests. You'll be more likely to find LED Underglow on some sort of squid missile like a GSXR 650,000 miles and a completely bald rear tire, but the next cursed motorcycle mod is more likely to be found on the steed of a leather-clad dentist or lawyer who considers himself a social outsider because he doesn't like having to pay taxes on his pretty substantial six-figure income. The next mod on the list today is anything with skulls. Hell, let's just say anything with skulls or spikes. And actually, while I'm at it, let's add leather tassels into the mix too, since I don't think I can write 250 words about tassels themselves. That would be a fun exercise though, wouldn't it? The ornamental cowhide hung limp off the periphery of his ape hangers in a way that felt familiar to his waning sense of masculinity. Skulls are just so corny, dude. Skull air cleaner covers, skull valve stems, skull fuel caps, skull do-rag, skull dog collar, skull fleshlight. When will it end? Skulls have been a symbol in the American biker lifestyle for forever. I don't think anyone that even knows what it's supposed to mean other than just being really badass. The same guy that is adorned with skull accessories on his bike will say things about how they represent his lifelong commitment to the lifestyle and other two-wheeled brothers. Will also be the first person to sell his Road King when he decides to get a boat instead. The spiked parts are completely in the same category. Why do you want spiked bar ends? Like, why? Have you ever thought about why, or have you ever just been Mandela affected into thinking that is how American cruisers should look? It's like riders don't realize there is a middle ground between a fully blacked out edgelord bobber and a spiky skull-clather leather-studded boomer bike. I hope this doesn't make a bunch of angry middle-aged men come after me in the comments section trying to whip me with their tassels for hurting their feelings. But that's just another day in the life of Yammy Noob, folks. Happens all the time. Alright, listen, we can lay off the cruiser boys for a minute now and talk about a mod that many style of riders install, and that is cheap bar end mirrors. While some handlebar mirrors are nice quality, have sturdy fitment, and good visibility, those are not the ones you see on people's bikes. You see the super cheap, floppy eBay special mirrors that are one wide open pull away from flying off and cracking the windshield of the poor sucker who happens to be driving behind them. Cheap handlebar mirrors just never fit right. They're either too small or too large for the diameter of the handlebar, like it's too difficult to engineer a bar end that fits in a 7/8 inch diameter handlebar and then gets snug when tightened. And if you're actually able to make them fit either by shimming some metal on the inside bar or filing them down, then the mirror itself is just going to flap all over. People love to put these cheap bar end mirrors on their cafe builds that, I hate to break it to you, usually have plenty of other cheap generic eBay or Amazon parts on them, but plenty of squids have also installed them on their 600cc sport bikes. But look, I get it, we can't expect them to be able to afford a stretched swing arm and any decent mirrors on their Jollar General Assistant Supervisor salary. At least they have mirrors at all instead of just removing them with no replacement. Look guys, there are a lot of terrible and cheap motorcycle parts and accessories out there, and that is why we're stoked to work with Rockform. Rockform makes the best phone cases and handlebar mounts for motorcyclists, but it doesn't end there. If you get the Rockform case, that gives you access to the whole ecosystem of Rockform parts and accessories. You can put your Rockform on anything that has the Rockform mount. Their cases are drop tested and super durable, perfect for when you underestimate the power of a little two-stroke and yeet yourself over backwards. Even better, they have handlebar mounts for any style of motorcycle. The phone cases easily connect with the mounts for quick attachment, so no need to waste any precious time fiddling with a cheap knockoff mount. If you follow the link below and use the code YN25, you'll receive 25% off your order. Thank you Rockform for supporting the channel. Again, that is YN25 for 25% off your order from Rockform. Now back to the show. Speaking of, another cursed motorcycle mod that you should not do is stretching your bike's swing arm. In theory, an extended swing arm stretch changes a motorcycle geometry in a way that prevents it from wheeling during hard acceleration and launches. In actuality, unless you have a drag bike, it is a stupid waste of time, money, and resources that makes your bike handle like garbage and tells the world that your sister might also be your cousin. If you are a dedicated motorsports enthusiast that has a street bike, a track bike, and a dedicated drag strip bike, sure, stretch that swing arm on the bike that only lives at the drag strip. That makes sense. But having a stretched swing arm on a street bike is really just completely ludicrous. Like, you have to really reevaluate your priorities, my guy, if you're changing your motorcycle's geometry solely so you can launch it at 100% power, at the expense of every other part of the riding experience. Listen, I have a fully built turbocharged Hayabusa that does not have a stretched swing arm and is still faster than any motorcycle ever needs to be on the face of this earth. It is actually a little alarming just how common stretched swing arms are. It makes me fear for the future of humankind. Stretched swing arms, not even once. Another poor modification choice that is not exclusive to any specific style of motorcycle is an overly loud or straight piped bike. I am a motorcyclist. I like a pretty loud exhaust with a great tone and characteristics, but it is definitely a point where it is too loud. If it is making the bike sound bad, it's too loud. If it is unpleasant to ride the motorcycle for more than 10 minutes, it's also probably too loud. Most reputable aftermarket exhaust will increase the volume quite a bit, but also accentuate the character of the engine. That will not really be the case if you just go and hack off the muffler. If you hack off the muffler, it just makes your bike sound like an old pickup truck with an exhaust leak, and it will create the most unbearable drones at sustained RPMs. Even worse are the people that tend to have an overly loud exhaust or straight pipe Harley Davidsons are also the people that won't tune the bike accordingly. So not only will it sound terrible, it will actually run terrible and pop and backfire like a madman on deceleration. A nice burbly exhaust with a few pops here and there can sound mean and exotic, but if your bike with the cat deleted and muffler hacked off is popping like a machine gun on deceleration, you probably have a problem in your fueling. Don't cheap out on your exhaust modification and tune when necessary. It will be worth it in the long run. Okay, this modification is going to be more of a classification than one specific mod as well. My sensible riders will understand, but this may rustle the feathers of the built not bought community. I'm talking about general chopper style modifications. So super raked out forks or hardtail frames with no suspension, no front brakes, so on and so forth. Like, look, I understand that this subculture is more about the building and customizing than it is the performance, but the people that are heavily modifying bikes like that probably build them, bring them to shows, ride them around town to bike night or whatever, have more roadworthy bikes for regular or daily use. So this isn't as much of a message to chopper builders saying stop building choppers, but more of a message to average new riders who see that type of culture on TV or the internet and think, wow, I want to rake out the forks on my Suzuki Boulevard. That looks so cool. And the message is, don't. If you want to be comfortable on your motorcycle or safe or even just enjoy riding it, don't go messing with your suspension geometry or deleting your brakes or installing a suicide clutch. Those bikes are meant for shows and magazine photo shoots and the occasional joyride to prove that they actually roll down the road, but not normal routine riding. And the last modification on the list of inadvisable design choices is bizarre custom paint jobs. If there's anything on this list that is the hardest to comprehend, it is paying thousands and thousands of dollars for your bike to be painted with cartoon characters or comic book villains or dragons or naked ladies. Just don't. Even if you think it's cool, just don't. It's really not that cool. It's just kind of weird and will completely impede your resale value and make you the recognizable local goon that has a mural of Calvin and Hobbes reenacting the Last Supper airbrushed on your motorcycle. If you've seen our It Came From Craigslist series, you know I'm not making this stuff up. Every bizarre custom paint scheme imaginable can be found on a motorcycle, usually a Hayabusa, of course. If you're considering having your Hayabusa painted like Wonder Woman or the creature from the Black Lagoon, first think to yourself, would I also punch a child in the face or go skydiving without a parachute? If you answer no to either of those questions, put down the business card for Uncle Victor's custom automotive painting in Orlando, Florida, and just slowly walk away. But at the same time, do whatever the hell you want to do with your motorcycle. Not my problem if you can't sell it later. All right, that about wraps this one up. Did I get any of this wrong? Did I overstep my boundaries? Did I challenge your existing notion on the appropriate length of a swing arm? For those of you who do indeed have a swing arm of appropriate length, be sure to subscribe to the channel and stay up to date on all of our new videos. Fact: there are more than 500,000 thoroughbred racehorses throughout the world today, and practically all of them come from a group of just 28 horses born from the 1700s and 1800s. More than that, 95% of all the male thoroughbreds are descended from a single stallion named Darley Arabian, born in the year 1700. Truly the Giga Chad horse. Goodbye.
Keep watching.